Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live, Love, Give, and today's message is one that I'm currently just in the middle of really working out for myself. And it's you guys know that if ever you hear a message from me, you can be guaranteeing that I'm currently going through it right in the moment that I'm talking about it. And today's message is all about identifying your story of limitation so that you can actually start believing in yourself. And this one is really current and very raw for me right now, because I've just been able to really tap into and listen to a deeper part of my inner knowing that I've been carrying around for a while now. But I've been really kind of distracting myself from actually facing and taking real ownership over. And I finally got to a place today, and sometimes we have to have pain as a motivator at times to kind of push us into action and to wake us up and to get us out of distraction. And for me personally, that's been very much so around my business and what I'm doing in it. And at the beginning of this year, well, back in May this year was when I really started my own thing. I'd been working in this industry for a number of years with a partner, and just back in May I started stepping out on my own, really starting to make some huge traction in terms of my self-belief, in terms of my authenticity, in terms of just really backing myself and going for it without limitation, without worry about judgments, rejections, fears, any of it. Like, I dropped all of that and I started this journey of really believing in myself, trusting in myself, relying on myself and backing myself fully, and without filter, going in that direction of what I was called to do. And slowly over time, I've been slipping back into past patterns of kind of doubting myself, kind of wanting so badly to kind of bring other people in and not have to rely solely on myself. And that comes from that inability to really trust and listen into that deeper knowing. And I am somebody who is first to admit that I can be so distracted by my external world that it so easily takes me away from my internal truth, and to a point where I feel like over my own period of growth, I've learned a lot better to be able to tap into that inner voice, that inner knowing, and realign with it before things go too out of hand. But recently, I have to admit that I have allowed certain things to sort of happen in my life where it has taken me away from that deeper internal knowing and truth, which ultimately, whenever we don't listen to the truth that we have inside, we start doubting ourselves, and we fall so easily into those past patterns of reliance on others and kind of handballing responsibility outside of ourselves to external sources. And so today has been a day for me where I have actually gotten to a point where I've had to really listen, take ownership, and move in the direction and communicate about where I've been falling down. And ultimately, although the steps I need to take are kind of painful and definitely scary, I know for certain that they are the only pathway forward for me. And no matter who I have to disappoint or any of that, I actually need to get out of my own way, because by people pleasing or by doing the things that we think others will make others happy, ultimately we take ourselves away. Whenever it's at the expense of our truth, we take ourselves away from that belief and certainty and conviction that we need as individuals in order to move in the right direction for us, so that we can ultimately be of higher value and service to others. And that's never going to be an easy path. If you think that that's going to be easy, you're sadly mistaken. And if you keep that mindset, you're never going to break through and break free of the limitations of those stories. And ultimately, we've got to realize and recognize that on this journey of self-empowerment, we need to get out of our own way. We need to identify what our story of limitation is. For me, it's been I can't do it all by myself. And ultimately, we've got to start believing in ourselves and turn that around, knowing full well that the pathway to my own empowerment and my own success is knowing and showing myself that I can do it all myself, so that I can get to a point of true internal conviction and self-belief, having proved that I can rely fully on myself without having to bring anybody else into the picture, so that I can actually do that thing and create a team and bring other people in from a place of empowerment, not reliance. And so that's my own personal story of limitation that I'm in the midst of really busting through, but I really wanted to share that story with you and share this piece of my life with you guys out there, because I am hoping that it will get you thinking about, what is that story of limitation that's going on for you right now? And I know a universal one that all of us have dealt with or are dealing with right now, and it's this one that says, I don't know. That's it. That's our story of limitation. I don't know. I don't know. Well, stop answering quality questions with that response that you don't know, because all you're doing is reinforcing to yourself your greatest fears that you don't know, and therefore you stay stuck and limited in your comfort zone of what you know right here, right now. You've got to start asking yourself the kind of questions that you are seeking in your external world, in the next book, in the next event, in the next coach, in the next therapist. I don't care who it is that you're seeking the answers within. Ultimately, you're going to keep yourself stuck, limited, and disempowered the longer you tell yourself that you don't have the answers, which, if you're really honest with yourself, only you have the answers. Only you know the truth that is residing within you. Nobody else can tell you that truth. You have to discover it for yourself, and the way that you do that is through asking yourself quality questions that you will not allow yourself to respond with the response of, I don't know. Drop that out of your vocabulary, and anytime you hear yourself say, I don't know, ask yourself again, well, what if I did know? What would my answer be? How could I brainstorm this? How could I get more clarity here? And recognize that the power of language is so powerful that the more you reinforce that old limiting story of I don't know, the more you just generate more of not knowingness, and the more unclear you become, and the more self-doubting you become, and the more you're seeking in the external for that of which you can only truly discover in your internal. So I want you to break free of that phrase, and that is just a universal limiting story that we all at some stage tell ourselves. I don't know. Bust that out of your vocabulary. Tell yourself you are not allowed to get away with that response anymore. You have to ask yourself quality questions, and you can get, inspiration from external sources, and get, that's what a coach is about, right? A coach is somebody who is not going to give you the answers that you seek. They are going to get you to a place of tapping into your internal truth and wisdom, so that you can take you wherever you go and have real authenticity, real truth, real clarity, real internal individual conviction. That is what empowerment is. It's not seeking guidance in the external and solely relying on somebody else to give you the answers that only you can give to yourself. So I'm really hoping that today's message, as always, I want to know that it's resonating with you guys. Everything that I talk into is in the hope that it can shift you to a more empowering perspective, so that you can get out of your own way and you can start discovering your unique genius and unleashing your incredible greatness onto the world. And so if any of you guys would like personal guidance with that and help to really tap into your own truth and your own answers that are waiting for you to discover your own empowerment, then that's why I open up those those 15-minute power sessions for you guys. I would love to connect with you. So make sure you book in a time, and I would love to jump on a call with you and see how I can help you get to that more centered place, that place of empowerment and strength within you. And so definitely book that in. And if you haven't already, you have absolutely got to come and join us all over at the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community, where we are all reaching for that next level of our potential, and we want to support, encourage, and challenge you to get to yours as well. So make sure you come and do that as well, and I'm going to check in with you guys. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, anything from today's message, I would absolutely love to hear from you guys. So definitely do that right now, and I'm going to check in and see who is here. So I have got Hassani is back, and Terry and Safan and Marcello and Leanne and Colin and Linda and David and Azar and Klaus and Giuseppe and Firoz and Adele and Keith. Yes, Keith, evening, I know exactly where I am limited. I love to hear that, because, you know, self-awareness is that is the foundational place to empowerment. So we have to be willing to acknowledge what our story of limitation has been. What is that phrase? What is that thing that you're always telling yourself? And like I said, I mentioned that universal one, I don't know. Such a universal one that we're not even conscious of ourselves telling ourselves that. I don't know. I'm never going to know. Well, of course you're never going to know, because you keep blocking yourself with that limiting story. And so for me, it was definitely the one I shared with you. I can't do it all on my own, and I'm in the process of really busting through that one, and I know it's going to be a bit of a struggle. I know it's going to bring up a lot of my own fears, but I'm willing to you know, not continue to do what I've been doing, which hasn't been getting the results and the empowerment that I know I'm capable of. And so that's what journey I'm on right now, and I'd love to hear from you guys about what limiting story you've just been able to identify within you. And I want you guys to make a commitment today. No more. Identify it, own it, and decide for yourself that you will no longer allow that into your vocabulary, and you're going to get out of your own way. So thanks so much for sharing there, Keith, and Francesca's here, and Jody and Adele. I'm so grateful that you're liking what's being said today, and Michelle and Jessica and Frank and Christopher and Noras and Tanya and Diallo and Nikki and Mercedes and Selwyn. Thank you for your kind words. And Alonia and Matthew and Melissa and Jason. I was wondering if you had a chance to watch the video my friend Eric Sims and I made about one of your videos last week. No? I want to see it. Awesome. In reference to authenticity and not participating in the old story of thinking that you are in a battle, it sounds like you are having moments of clarity in regards to who you are, and where you came from. Absolutely, Jason. Please link me to the video that you did with your friend Eric. I would absolutely love to check it out. I definitely didn't see it. So let me know. That would be so amazing. I love that we can get that conversation going. That's awesome. And James is here, and Toma, and Tony, and Senor, and Mohammed. Would you share about boosting confidence and need to recommend books on this topic? Okay, so my definition of real confidence is having a trust and value of oneself. You know, it's a deep trust and value of oneself, and you can't trust yourself or value yourself fully until you go to work on identifying who that even is. You know, you've got to have something to work with, and the sooner you tap into that voice within and ask yourself questions that you're listening to and being guided upon, you won't build that trust, and therefore you won't build that value. So that's the foundational piece in terms of building confidence. If you want a solid, centered confidence within yourself, you have to go on that journey of discovering who you really are, uncovering what you really want, and having the courage and the confidence to go after it. And so you've got to start that journey. In terms of books that I would recommend, anything that is going to allow you to identify a clearer path forward in terms of who you really are and what you really want. I really think that doing your work around your values is a great entry point into discovering that. And you guys know I'm always recommending recommending Dr. John Demartini's Values Determination Test, which you can find online by just Googling that. John Demartini Values Determination Test. Start with that, get some clarity, go on the journey of self-discovery so that you can ultimately have something to be confident about. You know, that's where real confidence stems from. So hope that was helpful for you, Mohammed, and David's here, and Mitchell, and Linda. Thank you so much for your kind words. And Lucy's here. Hello to you. And Shashank and Safan, loving that you're liking what's being said. And Brittany's here. Awesome. And Jared and Frank. A limiting story such as it's too hard or I can't handle more responsibility. Absolutely. Those two are absolutely universal as well. We've all had moments in time where we haven't felt like we can be bothered with it, or it's just going to be all too hard, or if we're successful and we move in this direction, we're going to have to take on more and more responsibility. I know that that is definitely something that I've battled personally, and I think that that's very much tied into my limiting story that I've identified just today and really taken ownership of it today. I've known it for a while, that I can't do it all by myself. That's handling responsibility. And so when we can identify it like you are there, Frank, which is awesome, that is where we start shifting into empowerment. When we start taking ownership and building that awareness piece around exactly those limiting stories that we're holding on to it, that are keeping us limited and stuck, we've taken the first step towards our empowerment. And that's when we can start making the shifts and changes and recognize that when we start taking momentum in the right directions, we know what's going to come up. It's going to bring up that same story. This is too hard. It's too much responsibility. I can't do it all on my own. I don't know where to go. Whatever the story is. And that's when we can see and recognize when we're trapped in a pattern of disempowerment, so that we can finally break free of it and turn it around, knowing full well that it's just our inevitable fears coming to the surface. And that oftentimes shows us that we're heading in the right direction, because whenever we are growing to a new level of our potential, we have to know that we're going to be faced with all our old limiting stories and patterns of self-destruction. And when we can identify them, put labels on them, we can no longer allow them to trap us and disempower us, and instead we recognize them, we take ownership of them. Oh, there I go again. There's that old pattern of limitation. And you know what? I believe in myself. I refuse to let my old stories limit me, and I am on a new pathway to power. And I know that because these fears are coming up, I know full well that I'm on the right track, because I know I've got to bust through these fears in order to get to that next level of my limitless potential. So I love that, Frank. Thanks so much for sharing. I'm sure so many of us out there can definitely resonate with those stories of limitation. And Jessica, love having you here, Jessica. Always so valuable, so thankful for to you for helping me to be in such a great place within myself and my life, and also so proud of myself for the personal growth I have and continue to experience. Thank you for your invaluable guidance and information. Jessica, you've absolutely rocked my world. Thank you so much. That's absolutely touched my heart to know that you are on that empowering journey forward. And if you've been getting value from these messages, that makes me feel so, so grateful. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And I love that you are in a state of feeling proud of yourself. That is such a beautiful place to get to. It's so empowering, and it is the fuel for you knowing that you will reach that new level of your limitless potential and not stay small and stay stuck in old past limiting stories. So thank you so much for sharing that, Jessica. You are a rock star. I love it. And Andrew's here, and Gretel, awesome to see you. And Shashank, hi Vanessa, yes, everyone has some limitations in this world, but this will not limit our soul and mind, as we can limit anything but soul is free and clean. Yeah, so Shashank, my perception of the soul is that inner wisdom, that inner truth that we often try and avoid, we often try and dull down. And I was just listening to the beautiful Caroline Miss today. So you guys know, if you've been following along, I've been diving into her book, Sacred Contracts, which is kind of mind-blowing. It's amazing. It's very in-depth. But Caroline Myss, I've been listening to a lot of her stuff recently, and one thing really struck me with her work today, which was ultimately that she believes that we live our daily lives thinking, in our head. And it's not until the evening that we can sometimes tap into the heart and what we feel. And what we're so scared about is when our head and our heart meet. Because when our head and our heart intertwine and meet one another, that is ultimately tapping into our authenticity, our soul, our truth. And if we tap into that fully, we're so scared because we know that the changes will come with that. We'll have to admit what we're really scared of. We'll have to be forced into changes that we're so scared that we're not ready for. And I absolutely loved hearing her mentality around that, the head and the heart. And when they're interconnected, that is when we tap into that internal wisdom, our soul, and that is where we can actually unleash our freedom through authenticity. So I love that, Shashank. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts here. And Gretel, yes, you only just joined. Watch the replay. I love it. Catch a ton of value, hopefully, and drop any questions that you have, and I will definitely get back to you. And Christian's here. Awesome. And Hassani, thank you. I'm in this journey of getting more clarity in my life, working on this every day now, and still plan to add the values review every quarter to my schedule. Awesome. Yes, you guys are hearing me whenever I talk into values. I let you know I do tap into that every quarter because we're always constantly evolving, changing and shifting, and we need to really tap into that and make sure that we are consistently not losing ourselves. We need to know who we are as we grow and develop, and that's just a great tool to do that. So I love hearing that, Haas. Thank you so much for sharing. And awesome, Jason. I will check that link out and check out your video. That's awesome. And Pratik, and yes, I will definitely let you know, Jason. And Michael's here, and Frank, thank you for your response. Limiting stories all begin with limiting beliefs. I may just schedule time with you to discuss this in more detail. This one hits home for me very strongly. Awesome, Frank. I can't wait to meet you. Book in a time and we'll connect, and I can't wait to serve you. And Ross is here, and Safan are working on what you said. Awesome. And Mario's here. Awesome, guys. Well, anybody who's just joining me now, that really was my message. So I'm hoping that you guys will catch the recording, get a ton of value from today's message, one that I'm living right here, right now. And I can't wait to share my progress with you guys. And for any of you guys who haven't already, you have to come on over. Let's go deeper in the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community. Click on the link above. Request to join. I'll prove you in there, and I can't wait to go deeper with you. So guys, I am sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you wherever you are in the world today. I hope it's absolutely amazing, and I hope that you're doing something really empowering and growing today. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Much, much love.